Hi, my name is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News, and today I'm joined with attorney and co-founder of Arkansas Economic Defense Fund, Brenda Vassar-Taylor, as well as North Little Rock attorney Brian Vanderver. Thank you both for being here with us today.
Thank you, Jenny Lauren.
Brenda, tell us about the Arkansas Economic Defense Fund and its purpose.
It is a nonprofit that we established about 2012 to defend economic freedoms for individuals, for companies in the state of Arkansas.
And why is that so important right now, given today's climate?
What we've seen most recent is the economic freedom of employees at risk for those who have refused to take the COVID vaccination under employers demanding that they be vaccinated.
And so with Arkansas Economic Defense Fund and your role as an attorney, are you hearing from employees who are not having their exemptions respected and basically approved?
This started in about mid-August, and I became part of being notified, would you come and speak to a group of employees who needed some information? I was willing to do that. And then I started noticing that I was hearing from all kinds of people. And now, recently, hearing from people out of state looking for attorneys, legal representation. Brian has also, I think, had that experience.
So tell me, Brian, how are you involved with this?
I'm an employment attorney in Arkansas. I've been practicing for 20 years with my firm, Cox Sterling, McClure and Vandiver. I represent employers and employees. And so I routinely advise employers and employees on accommodation process. And so we started getting these calls about religious accommodations in particular for employees who are being required to take this COVID vaccine or lose their job. And it's troubling. It really is troubling to have employers in our state taking that position and not going through the proper process that the law requires for a religious accommodation.
Just briefly mention what that law is that maybe people aren't very knowledgeable about, or maybe there's some confusion about it.
Sure. So there's under federal law, Title VII requires religious accommodation, but we also have the Arkansas Civil Rights Act that requires religious accommodation as well. And that is where someone has a sincerely held religious belief or faith or practice that they have a basis for objecting to a term or condition of employment. They can request an accommodation, and the employer has to engage in what we call an interactive process, a communication, a dialogue between the company and the employee. And that's a case-by-case basis, individualized basis, based upon that employee's belief and how can they best accommodate that employee. And we've really not seen that a lot in some examples we've heard from.
Talk to us just very briefly about the at-will doctrine. Are there exceptions to that maybe people aren't aware of?
The at-will doctrine that you're referencing, of course, is Arkansas being an at-will state. The employer and the employee are working together and can terminate that relationship at any time. And that's a lot of what we're hearing. Well, the employer has the right in Arkansas to do that. A private company can set policies and employees must submit. And there are laws that, not every rule goes. And Arkansas Economic Defense Fund, as we just made a decision to get into this arena, we wanted Brian, an employment attorney, and his level of expertise to work with us to defend these people who are not seeing that that applies. Brian just mentioned the religious exemptions, medical exemptions, the law providing a way that their needs can be accommodated at work. But the calls that I've received and the interaction with employees where that's not been the situation coming from the employer and just, you're not going to get this shot, then you're not going to stay with our company. And there's some, we can go ahead and list some of these companies here in Northwest Arkansas that we're seeing. There may be people that watch this video that want to reach out and make contact, but we're seeing some of the bad actors in our area being Tyson, Walmart, Washington Regional Hospital, the Mercy Hospital. There are others, but there's some opportunity for employees to have their side heard as well.
And how would they go about having their side heard? What would you guys recommend?
Well, I would recommend that they reach out to us and Brenda's organization. And, if they need guidance, they need legal advice, seek us out, because I think there is an opportunity. Everyone who may have an issue with an accommodation process needs to seek out legal advice. And everyone is entitled to at least have some good advice and guidance on that process. And Brenda's right. I mean, it's the at-will doctrine is the basic rule, but it is riddled with exceptions. And one of the main exceptions is the public policy exception. And so that is anti-discrimination statutes that prohibit employers from discriminating against persons of color, persons with disability, and persons of religious faith. And when you have a sincerely held religious belief, no, I'm not going to take the vaccine because I prayed about it. I visited, scripture about it, and it's against my conscience to do that. And still your employer is making you do that. That's troubling. And you have to ask yourself, do we want our companies in our state taking that position? And that's, I find it troublesome that they're doing that.
So you said reach out to you all. How should they go about doing that?
We have a website, arkansas.economicdefensefund.org, and they can go to that site, fill out some forms to make contact with us. And also just contact me personally. I have a law firm in Fayetteville, and so I'm obviously would make the connection with the Arkansas Economic Defense Fund.
Okay, and what would you guys say, just on a personal note, to those employees who find themselves in this situation?
Again, I find it really troubling especially when you've maybe given a decade or multiple decades of your life, you've committed service to that company, invested your time and energy into that company. And now all of a sudden they're going to throw that away and dehumanize you in a way that doesn't value your years of service over this issue, doesn't respect your opinion, your right of conscience to object. There needs to be some legal redress, and there needs to be some exploration of making sure these companies are held accountable under the law.
I'm even seeing employees who have been given their exemption has been accepted by the employer, and then the accommodation that they're experiencing has been involved. Well, you will not have contact with your fellow coworkers. You will stay away from them. You will be isolated, and that it's been interesting to watch the response of the employees. And that's also not something that I believe is proper under the law. And talk about being made to feel dehumanized. It can be a heartbreak as you see someone, like Brian said, given so many years to their employer, and then to see that trust broken between the two. And so we're hoping that we can bring to the table maybe more of an interactive process from the employer, but at any rate to help the employee through this situation, because that's what I also have found, is that people just feel totally alone. There's no one there who's been willing to stand up for them and help them through whatever we're going through as a state and really as a country.
Well, I hope that people will reach out to you, Arkansas Economic Defense Fund. They can contact you personally. Thank you both for all the work that you all are doing.